We will get started in just a couple of minutes. So make yourself comfortable and um, grab yourself a cup of tea or a snack or anything that you might need to feel good. Oh, you already got your water, Mari. Nice. So you've come prepared. I love it. Um, we'll just let folks filter in for a few minutes and then we'll get started. Welcome, welcome, those of you who are just arriving. We're going to get started in just a minute, so make yourself comfortable and grab whatever you need, drinks or snacks, and we'll get going in just a minute. Who's that? Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. We may have some folks filtering in as we move through our time together today. And I want to say welcome to those of you present and welcome to those of you who might be watching the recording. I know we had a lot of people sign up who weren't able to be here necessarily in person, but who are really curious. And so I'm glad you're joining us in whatever way is possible for you today. My name is Ash Tiemann. I am the communications manager at the BTS Center, and I am also one of our Spiritual Accompaniment Circle facilitators, and I'm doing the coordinating of the circles for this round. So you've probably been getting some emails from me in various guises. So welcome today. Probably most of you are familiar with the work of the BTS Center, but just in case you're not, the BTS Center is a private operating foundation. We're located in Portland, Maine, land of the Wabanaki. And we are working from deep roots in what was Bangor Theological Seminary, which closed in 2013 and became this private operating foundation that is the BTS Center. We seek to catalyze spiritual imagination with enduring wisdom for transformative faith leadership. And we do that by offering workshops, retreats, learning communities, reading groups, public conversations, projects of applied research, spiritual accompaniment circles, all focused on cultivating and nurturing spiritual leadership for a climate change world. So welcome. I'm glad you found your way to us, whether you've participated in lots of programs or if this is your first dipping your toe into what we offer. So we're really delighted to have you here today for a what we call a taste of event focused on our spiritual accompaniment circles. We're hoping that this gathering will give you a sense of what this program entails and help you determine if participating in one of our circles would be a good fit for you. I am joined today by several of our facilitators, each of whom brings really incredible skills and presence to this work. We are just so lucky to have such an incredible circle of folks working with us. You'll have an opportunity to hear from some of them throughout this session, but I want to introduce you to them right now. I'll just maybe have them give a wave. So we have Dan Wolpert is here with us, Haley Mitsui, Justin Furco, and Eileen Gebby. And we might be joined by a couple other folks who might dip in with us through the session. So welcome. Thank you all facilitators for being with us today. And now I would love to know a little bit about those of you who are here with us today. So if you would like to, I would invite you to open up your chat and let us know where you are logging in from. And I think I already said it, but I am here from Portland, Maine, Wabanaki land. Northern California, Westbrook, Maine, lots of Maine folks, which I love. Hi, Doug from Connecticut, North Carolina, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Seattle, Massachusetts. Oh, someone from the UK. I think you might win the award for furthest from Maine, at least. So welcome. Glad to have you with us from all over the country and the world, indeed, which is awesome. So my second question for you is, what is something that you're carrying with you today as you're entering this space? Something you can interpret that as broadly as you'd like to, but something that you're carrying with you as you're entering this space today. Curiosity, hope, tiredness. Yeah. Curiosity, wonder, sadness. Yeah. You're showing up with a lot of different things inside of us. Foreboding. Yeah, I hear you. Concern about national health care. Yeah. Interest. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with your full selves. All of the everything that's happening for all of us internally and externally. And finally, my last question for you is, what is one curiosity that you have about these spiritual accompaniment circles? A couple of you mentioned that you're showing up with curiosity, and wondering what's one curiosity you have about these circles? Yeah, thanks, Eileen. Journey, understanding how holiness will show up. Will there be readings? If they might be a good fit for you. Yeah. It's a great curiosity. Building relationships, companionship, building our faith journeys. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. I appreciate your sharing these wonderful curiosities, and I share some of your curiosities as well. So we thought that before I sort of launch into a lot of words and explanations about what these circles entail, that we would give you an actual little taste of what a circle might be like. So I'll say that each of our facilitators brings very unique gifts and perspectives and ways of holding space for folks. So we all bring a little bit of a different flavor to our circles. And that said, there's like some pretty strong through lines from all of us in terms of contemplative space, connection with nature, engaging with the holy. And Justin has brought for us today a practice rooted in some of his traditions that he's going to share. So I'm going to invite you for the next 10 minutes or so to give yourself over to this practice that Justin is going to lead us in as a sort of sample of something that you might experience in one of our circles. So Justin, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Ash. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you and to be back with spiritual companioning colleagues. I'm going to offer an invitation to you. The invitation means you can do this or not, but maybe you're curious about it and would like to try. This is a guided meditation with your senses. This comes from my training in forest bathing or Shinrin-yoku, and it helps me arrive in a space that calms my nervous system. So I invite you to arrive however it would feel good to you by following these invitations I'll offer. Many spiritual companions, these are the tools of our trade, like a candle and a match or lighter. And before my sessions, individual or group, I always light a candle, signaling the sacredness of this space that we share. I do that now to honor the sacredness of you, your life, your own spiritual path and tradition, and being in this new community, even if it's temporary. And I'll place this behind me to my left to be lit for our whole time together. The practice I'll offer is called the pleasures of presence. It invites you to explore your 7 senses, 2 more than you probably learned about in elementary school. So I invite you to tune into your own body and listen to your body let you know where or how you would like to be for the next 10 or so minutes. Would you like to be seated, facing out a window, lying down, even camera off, camera on? Just tuning into your body. Where would your body like to be in space? And when you find that position, maybe just move your shoulders a little bit or adjust your sit bones so that you feel most comfortable. The next invitation will be to possibly close your eyes if that feels good where you are, or to soften your gaze. That means just look a few feet in front of you and let your eyes rest on that point. Maybe a point on the wall, a tree out your window. And as you let your sense of vision rest, invite your awareness of your own breathing. And we're just noticing. There's no need to change anything about how deep or shallow you might be breathing in this moment. I invite your awareness now of your sense of hearing. I wonder what the closest in sound is that you can hear right now. Perhaps your own breath, the heater clicking in your space, maybe the wind outdoors, human and more than human activity around you. Now I invite your awareness of your sense of smell. On your next inhale through your nose, Maybe notice what the air in your space is bringing to your nose. Perhaps the smell of coffee brewing or a meal that was cooked. Maybe you can smell wind coming in through the window, bringing the smell of the season where you're at this time of day. And now our sense of taste. I invite you to become aware of what you're tasting in your mouth at this moment. Maybe toothpaste or coffee, a snack you grabbed right before logging in. Now I wonder what our sense of taste could tell us about this place. Maybe like a lizard with their tongue sticking out, you might like to taste the air where you are. I invite you to do so, to taste the air, to see what the notes of today are. Now turning to our largest sense organ, our skin, I invite your awareness of your sense of touch. To begin, maybe you'd like to bring your hands together, palm to palm, and just rub them together, noticing the temperature of your skin as it touches your skin, the texture of your own skin, noticing places where your skin is exposed to the air and where your skin is covered by clothing. Maybe you can feel the texture of your own clothes, the temperature of your skin covered by them. Maybe notice the skin from the top of your head to the bottom of your pinky toe, your toes. Just notice what it's feeling, what you're feeling. On your next inhale, I invite you to bring along your imagination. We'll travel in with our breath and notice our lungs, how they expand with fresh air. Maybe notice how that affects your body when your lungs move and expand, and how they contract, expelling what you no longer need. And letting your awareness travel to your abdomen and gut, just noticing if there's any sensation or sound there today, like gurgling, heat, perhaps no sensation. And then traveling back up into the center, left of center of your chest to your heart. Perhaps tuning into your own heartbeat at this time, if that feels good to you. In a moment, I'll offer our final invitation for this guided meditation. This is to open your eyes or refocus your gaze. And here's that invitation. I wonder what it would be like if, when we opened our eyes or refocused our gaze, we saw the world as if for the very first time. Whenever you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes and see the world as if for the very first time. And after a few moments, I'll call us back with welcome back. Welcome back. If you'd like to place in the chat what you're noticing, I'd invite that. And also just sharing with your own presence. What are you noticing now? Peace, peacefulness, quieter nervous system. Presence is the only time. Calm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing in chat and with your presence. Changing light outside your window. Yeah. So this is one example of a grounding exercise that I've guided my groups through to settle and arrive together in the sacred space of spiritual companioning. Now I turn it to Ash. Thank you. Thanks for engaging in the practice with me.
Thanks, Justin. Really, I'm certainly feeling more grounded, and hope that each of you is also. So thank you. As Justin said, that's a sample of something that is incorporated into many of our sessions, some sort of like meditation, contemplative practice that helps bring us into the space together. So I'd like to spend just a little bit of time giving you some concrete tidbits about these circles. And then we'll have some time to hear from some of the other facilitators and also get to your questions and answers, which I know many of you showed up with questions, and we want to give time for that. So just some of the kind of overview of the circles. You may have gleaned some of this from looking at the website, which hopefully piqued your interest. But we have circles, we cap the circles at 6 people each. We've found that 6 people is a really good amount to have a community, to have connection, to have a diversity of experience in the room. But it's also very intimate and allows for really over the course of 8 months us to get to know each other really well. So 6 participants and a facilitator. As I said, they go for 8 sessions once per month. The sessions are 2 hours each, and that's a spacious 2 hours. It might seem like a big chunk of time to give to something, and I do understand that, but it is really a nice amount of time to really allow you to settle, to rinse out the other things that you're coming into the circle with, and to really be present with yourself, with the spirit, with the divine, how the divine is moving for you and in you, and with companionship of other people. We often incorporate silence and or outdoor time into the sessions. One of the questions that I've received in the past is like, how do you do this on Zoom? Which I know is a new reality of our worlds in the last 5 years particularly, but like, how do you have a real spiritual presence and connection over Zoom? And I will say, in my experience, it is entirely possible and lovely. But one of the things, because we are doing this in the context of a climate changed world, and we're doing this knowing that you have deep connections to the places where you are and the world around you, is to incorporate time within the circles to be off screen, whether that's going outside, whether it's having a guided practice that involves laying on your back or being in your body in a different way. So that is often part of each gathering. As I said earlier, each facilitator has their own style, their own expertise, but we're all oriented towards contemplative practice, discernment, gathering to know where the spirit is moving in our lives, and to discern what our places within that, whether that's discerning what our work is to do or discerning how we're showing up for transitions in our own lives or in the world around us. And these are confidential spaces. I think that bears naming explicitly. There's a lot of depth and intimacy in what we share, and we want you to feel comfortable showing up in your most full self. And so, the beginning of the circles, your facilitator will go over our agreements for being in circle together, and one of those agreements will be confidentiality. So that doesn't need to be, you don't need to be concerned that things that you share within the circle will be shared outside of the circle without your permission. So why are we doing these? And really, there's a lot of answers to that question. We believe really strongly in the importance of contemplative spiritual practice in this time, the interplay between contemplation and action, the grounding that these kind of circles can offer for living in a climate change world, which is full of all sorts of surprises and challenges, as all of you know. So these spaces really offer space for gentle guidance towards going deeper, towards listening to the movement of God, spirit, the divine, however you choose to name that flow in your life. Um, and allowing spaces for our spiritual stories to be told, to be heard, and to help us to understand our own spiritual stories in the context of a community. There's, in my experience, maybe in yours also, we live in a world that doesn't often give that space for spiritual story, for spaciousness, for grounding, for really deep listening with one another. So to have a facilitated space for that is really, I think, unique and special and important. And being the BTS Center, we are explicit that this is happening in the context of a climate change world, and that brings really unique spiritual challenges to each of us. And so we want that space to be open for people to really explore the work of the spirit in this particular time and place, in your particular time and place. Spiritual accompaniment is really not about providing answers, though I know we'd all like to show up and get the answers to all of our deep and burning questions, but it is about the space to be with the questions, and that can be uncomfortable sometimes. And I think that doing that with community and with a facilitator really is deeply, deeply valuable. And so our intention in offering these circles is to do so as a way of fostering connection, contemplative practice, and individual and collective vocational discernment for a climate change world. And that has all sorts of iterations for as unique as you are. So what you receive and give to the circles will be unique to each person. But I hope that that gives you a little bit of a sense of what you might expect. You've heard me talking for quite a while now, so I'm gonna open it up. Dan, who is one of our facilitators and has been for quite a long time, is gonna share just a bit. And then I'm gonna offer space if any of our other facilitators want to jump in and share, and then we'll do a question and answer before we wrap up today. So Dan, I offer it to you.
Great. Thanks, Ash. And thanks, Justin, for that beautiful time. Great to see everybody. Great to be with those of you who'll see this later. First of all, I'm just very excited that the VTS Center is doing these and continuing to do them. So I've done both rounds of these circles, so this will be my third time around. And I just wanted to share a little bit about what people have said about these circles so that you'll get maybe a sense of what people's experience has been and what they have lifted up. And, there's two things that people have commented on repeatedly. So the first one is really this sense of community, right? And this to me is the incredibly positive thing about the Zoom piece, right? So, we've had people from all over the country, many of whom are in maybe smaller or more isolated communities. They don't have a group of, 5 or 6 sort of like-minded people down the road that they're always getting together with. And people have talked about the incredible value of getting together on a regular basis over time with people to explore these really challenging things and to be able to talk very honestly about their feelings in the face of climate realities and also to engage in spiritual practice with other folks in the midst of that. And I had a number of people in my second round of groups who had been in the first round who were just really wanting to continue those connections. And so that's been great. The other big thing that people have really lifted up, and this speaks to something that one of you said at the beginning, this attempting to balance honest reality with hope and resilience. And initially in the group, people come in and they're like, oh, well, we're going to fix climate change through this group. And then, of course, very quickly, everybody's like, no, we're not. And actually, the relief over time, people have said it's actually a real relief to drop that sense of, oh, this is another group where we're trying to figure out how to fix climate change. And the paradox of actually finding hope and resilience as we face the current reality, but also let go of any sense that 5 people are going to fix this massive climate problem. And so again, this is something that a number of people have really spoken to. And as the 8 months go on, the group really settles very deeply into that kind of paradoxical but very wonderful and hopeful place. And so that's been something else that people have spoken about, as I said a number of times. One of the questions that people put in the chat is about readings. And so I thought I'd just share for a second, as Ash said, everybody kind of runs these groups slightly differently. And so for my group, what I'm doing is I will put out something a week or so before the group comes together, that is usually a combination of some sort of very short reading or an observation or an experience, and then a few questions to spend some time reflecting on that people bring to the group. And so there often is a little bit of reading, but I would say a very small bit, or maybe you'll watch a video or something like that. And so we come together with uh, some focus that we're all aware of for that particular month. But then obviously whatever it is that people are bringing that time, also there's a lot of space for. So Ash, that's what I wanted to share. I think my 5 minutes are up. I'll give it back to you.
Thanks, Dan. I want to offer before we open it up for question and answer to see if any of our other facilitators who are present, if there's anything you would like to share. No pressure at all. Just the space is there if you have anything you'd like to offer into it. Yeah, Haley.
Hello, everyone. I think two things maybe I would offer as in for context of how I hold the space. Is one, I think it's a really beautiful, Dan mentioned like connection to each other, which is so true. And then there's also a connection to creation, and the rhythms of nature and seasons. This can be a really sweet way to kind of bring in the seasonal changes, the solstices, and so it's a way to also kind of connect with the rhythm of nature in community with each other. And then the only other thing I'd offer is just this. This is my second round holding space in these groups, and this time I'm specifically doing a BIPOC group. And so I'm really excited to be holding that space and sort of the nuances of maybe how marginalized communities are experiencing the climate changed world. And if there are anyone that come to your mind that might be a good fit, I just would love for you to consider sending this invitation to them, or connecting them with me if they have any questions. So thanks, Ash.
Thanks, Haley. Yeah, we are really delighted to be offering a few specialized groups. Haley's offering, as she said, a BIPOC group. Justin's offering an LGBTQIA plus group. And our facilitator, Chelsea, who isn't here today, but she is offering a group for those who identify as climate activists. So really delighted to be offering those spaces as well. I would love to open it up now for questions. If there's questions that you have that haven't been answered, general questions or questions for any of the specific facilitators who are here today, you can either, we're a small group, so you can unmute, you can raise your hand, you can drop it in the chat. Any questions you'd like to ask us? Doug's asking what's the process for assigning folks to groups. Thanks, Doug. It's a great question. As it stands now, you are invited to just register for whichever group is appealing to you, whether that's because of the facilitator or the time that it's meeting or anything. We don't have an application process for the groups. I will say that several of the groups are at capacity right now. And the others are kind of filling. So if you have a particular one in mind, you want to register probably on the sooner side. We're also considering adding additional groups if we have enough interest, and the groups are full. So if you try to register for one and the others don't work, or you know, shoot me an email and we'll see how we can meet your needs. Yeah, registration is on the website, and I will drop that link in the chat right now. Cindy, I see your hand up. Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Couple of quick questions. Are the groups listed on the website? You know, the kinds of groups as well?
Yeah, all of the groups with the times and dates that they meet are listed, and the facilitators are all listed with their groups. So you can read our bios, you can see what time and days the groups meet, and then you can choose which one works for you.
Does that include the focus of the group as well? I mean, the basic theme or whatever?
We don't really have a theme for each group. You might enter the group and find that there's like a theme each month that we're following. But the groups as a whole don't really have themes, but you will get a sense of what your facilitator might be bringing to the group by reading their bio.
And the other question is, I didn't understand what kind of group Haley has. I didn't understand what she was referring to.
Haley, do you want to answer that? Or
Quick explanation. I just didn't understand the acronym.
Oh, yeah.
BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. So
Okay.
anyone who identifies with those identities. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Cindy. Any other questions? Yeah, Tom.
Thank you so much for this. As I'm trying to discern whether this might be a good fit for me, and one thing that's really on my mind is when I think about the climate crisis and spirituality, is how the climate crisis doesn't affect all people equally, and as the responsibility for the climate crisis is very unevenly shared across race and gender and class and location in the world. So for me, as someone who has just about every form of privilege a person could have, one of the things that I'm really wanting is support and help in thinking about how the climate crisis and my own spiritual journey and my own embodied identities come together within a social justice framework. So I'm just curious, is that I haven't heard a whole lot about climate justice or social justice. I'm wondering, is that a theme of these groups, or is it not so much?
That's a great question. And I would say that the groups as a whole are more oriented towards contemplative discernment, which doesn't mean that climate justice is not a huge part of what people are showing up longing for and working for. We do have a group specifically for climate activists, if that's more of the orientation that you're looking for with Chelsea. But I think all of the questions that you're bringing are questions that would be rich and relevant in any of the circles. And I would welcome any of the other facilitators to jump in and answer Tom's question too. Yeah, Daniel or Dan, sorry.
Yeah, I put a note in the chat about this. Yeah, Tom, those issues come up all the time in our in both the groups that I've done, and that connection between contemplation and action is something that, I mean, I personally do a tremendous amount of work around, and is a question that a lot of people that are coming to these groups bring, and folks in the groups are actually deeply involved in practices and habits and work and activity that are speaking to that. So um, I would say absolutely, this is a great place to really go deep into that, both both for yourself, but then also in terms of our collective reflections. Yeah, 100%.
Mari.
Hi, I can speak. I personally am too involved, and that is causing distress for me. So I really do need a contemplative space, and I would like it to be oriented toward climate change. I do World Community of Christian Meditators. It's a wonderful contemplative space, but I would like to have the open talk about climate change, but I personally can't, I really have to have it contemplative. So I signed up for one particular group, I think I did, and that was you, Dan. But I have to have that. So if there could be, did I sign up for the right group, or I don't know. I just can't, I gotta do the contemplative thing right now.
Yeah, I would say that they're all contemplative in nature. Like this, like Dan said, these are not groups to come and be like, and how are we going to save the world and how are we going to stop climate change? Like, there's a lot of really wonderful and valuable and deep work happening in the activist spaces, in churches, and all of those spaces. But really, these are contemplative circles. And while we are bringing our whole selves into the circles, and that may mean you're bringing your activist self and you're bringing all of these things that you're carrying, the space itself is intended to be deeply contemplative, a space for deep listening, a space for deep presence. And I think that you'll find that in any of the groups. It sounds like you've already signed up for Dan's, which is great, and I think will be a great fit. But yeah, if you if that question is something being held by anyone else who hasn't chosen a group yet, you will find that in any of the groups that you choose. Wanda.
Just wanted to respond to that. This is my second round of doing these. I had to sit out the last round because of time conflicts in terms of facilitating. But my group, the first round we had everything from someone who was everyone came with a commitment around addressing climate change in some way, but the focus was on that contemplative focus. And I had everyone from someone who was dealing with a really significant health crisis, and that's the stance she was coming from, to folks who were really, their work was as climate activists. And we tried to create space for all of that to be present in the circle with that contemplative frame. So the intention is definitely the focus is on contemplation, and a space where everyone can just bring where they are into that space and have it be a safe space to do that.
Thanks, Wanda. Any other questions out there? All right. Oh, yeah, Cindy, do you have another question? I think you're muted. Able to unmute? Maybe if I do this. Oh,
Can
there
you
you go.
Now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. I was on the website and I don't see, maybe I'm just dense here, but I don't see the actual circles called out as such. So I just see kind of areas of interest or whatever. So are those the circles?
Yeah, so if you go to the webpage, I'll drop the link in the chat again, and you scroll down, there's a section called Meet Our Facilitators. and that will have a list of the facilitators. It has the days and times that that facilitator is their group is meeting, and then it'll have a registration button within that square that says register for this circle. So that should give you a sense of whose circle is available. You can go in, you can click there and go in to view their biography and get a sense of but that will give you the information about the circle itself.
Okay, I don't see it, but I'll get in touch with you directly.
Yeah, you can send me an email if you're having trouble with it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Do any of our facilitators have anything you'd like to add before we wrap up? Yeah, Eileen.
This will be my third round, and what I can share from the first two is at some point during the 8 months, there is at least one moment of breathtaking beauty, either privately held or shared collectively, but it is renewing in a way that none of my other work is, none of my other spiritual, tasks are. It is truly a lovely bath in peace, calm, and presence with each other.
Thanks, Eileen. I think that's a beautiful note on which to end. Thank you all so much for your interest, for showing up, for being part of this taste of. I hope that it answered your questions, and I hope that maybe some of you will join us in the circles. If you have additional questions, I'm going to put my email right in the chat. You are most welcome to email me. If you have specific questions for any of the other facilitators, you can just send them to me and I'll send them along. And yeah, I hope that you'll join us. This has been a really beautiful journey, and I think you've gotten the sense from our facilitators who are here today of just how meaningful and deep the experience of being in these circles has been. So please reach out if you have questions, and thank you again for being here and for your deep presence and your questions. And I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your Wednesday, wherever you happen to be. All right. Blessings.